Hi BookTube, welcome to Jackie's Literary Corner. I am Jackie, and so I've already told you guys about the book, what I got for my birthday. So now I'm going to tell you guys about what I got for what I bought myself in May this month. No, it's not the end of May actually, but I'm not gonna buy any more books anytime soon. So. Although there's always a small chance if I can get away with it, like if I decide to go to the Roast Office bookshop. So, well, first, I already told you guys about, sorry, there's a lot. I already told you guys about one book that's not on the, I'm not sure if I might have got Portable Dante during this month too. I don't know if I got that one in April or not, but I'll include that in this. But I already told you guys that I got this for I bought this the day before my actual birthday. My mom let me go to the drop me off. She dropped me off at Books A Million, so I picked this one up, which is what they were reading for shelf space this month. I believe once Alan from the Library of Alexandria took over, I think this is the book he chose for them to read for the Shelf Space Book Club. Not that I'm in it, but that's who I heard of so far has read this book. Although I'm sure I've heard of a lot of other people have read this book. It's an epic fantasy. So I'm gonna read the back because I don't remember. Like I said, I think I mentioned it in my birthday book haul, but I don't think I told you. So I'm just gonna read the back. As destiny calls, a journey begins. It has been 20 years since the godlike Argers were overthrown and killed. Those who once served them, the gifted, were spared only after accepting the rebellion's four tenets, which vastly limited their powers. Davian suffers the consequences of the war lost before he was even born, when he discovers that he wields the forbidden power of Argers. He sets into motion a chain of events that will change everything. To the west, a young man whose fate is intertwined with Davian's awakes up in the forest, covered in blood, with no memory of who he is. And in the far north, an ancient enemy begins to stir. I debated about getting that one, but finally I did when I heard about Shelf Space was reading it, even though I'm not in that group. A lot of the fantasy booktubers I watch are part of that group, so I think okay, so I don't know actually if I got this one I might have gotten it in April, and I might have already shown it to you guys, but I don't remember, and I don't like going back and watching my videos and going through them because I get embarrassed hearing my own voice. I really hate the way I sound. So, yeah, in case I didn't, just in case, I got the Portable Dante. This might have been something I got, like I said, I might have already told you guys about this, or at least got it in April. But this is basically a collection of the Divine Comedy, which is the Inferno, Paradiso, and, well, actually it's Inferno, Purgatorio, and Paradiso. Basically the first you have the 7 circles of hell, and then the middle place, and then you have Paradise, which aka heaven, and it's his spin on that. And then there's also another epic poem in this collection that he actually wrote for his lover Beatrice, the woman he was in love with. Although, which does seem to have a lot of these historical figures who create, who write and stuff. A lot of them had they would be married, but they would have lovers, and their lovers might even be married too. I mean, to me, that is really hilarious that, that a lot of them were in those kinds of situations. And I have read up to, I'm in the middle of Canto, I'm getting right, I started, Canto 7. of this one, which this has one of my most recent bookmark purchases. I am actually a Hogwarts student. I love that. But that's cool. And I like that it's wooden, so I don't have to worry about the tassels or it kind of like the white the white coming through and all that kind of stuff, or having to taking a minute or a second or two to get the magnet and detach the magnet, and having to make sure I place it perfectly. Although this can get lost too, but yeah. So like I said, I don't know if I've already told you about that one or not, but so here's what I've recently bought the past couple days. So sorry, something just popped up on my screen, something really annoying. Oh crap! Sorry, I don't know. I wonder what you guys see when that happens, when my little screen disappears. So first, after my birthday, I decided to place a Thrift Books order in, because I had just finished this month for the Asian Readathon hosted by Cindy with Reads with Cindy. I had one of the books I read for that was The Poppy War. So I decided to jump at the channel. I decided I want to get the second book, is The Dragon Republic. So that was my motivation for putting a purchase in Thrift Books. So this is the second one. It takes place right after the first one, after the aftermath of the first one. Which I like. I know the white is beautiful, aesthetically pleasing, and all the white of the hardbacks. But I kind of like that each book is a different color, like, in the paperbacks. Like, the first one is, the Poppy War's orange, and this one is blue. And, like, in the hardback, this, the words and the smoke is blue, and then with Poppy War is orange. And then I know they have these beautiful hardbacks in a collector's subscription box edition. I think it's, like, Owl Crate or something. One of the really popular ones, and it has on the pages, instead of the pages being completely colored in, they are like the end pages being completely colored. It's actually covered, like it has a smoke design that's the color of the smoke, which I mean is really pretty. But as pretty as it is, I can't bring myself to make that kind of purchase, knowing that it's that I'm probably not gonna read it. Like, I don't want to, because I don't like reading hardback books. I mean, I do have some hardback books. Like, some of my Stephen King books are hardbacks. I have some other hardback books, but these paperbacks are just so much easier to read, in my opinion. And I would probably, if I did buy it, I would probably have read those copies, but I already had the paperback copy of The Poppy War, so I was like, I might as well just get the paperback copy of this one as well. But this is essentially, in case you don't know, which you probably do know, but I'm going to talk about it anyway, that this is a trilogy, takes place in a world that is inspired by Asian culture. I don't know if it's Japan or China, but we have our main character, Rin, who is a bit of an orphan. She was taken in by foster parents who run a business. I think it's selling drugs or something. And they plan to marry her off so they can get the money from her husband. But Rin that's the last thing she wants to do. So she decides to apply for this prestigious military academy, which I can't remember the name of the academy. And, Singard, or Signgard. I don't know if it's Signgard or Singard. And, but, you have to pass this really hard test. And, of course, she does, because then we wouldn't have the plot. But when she gets there, she meets a lot of adversity and a lot of prejudice, like, because she's a darker skinned woman, so she, and she's poor, and she hasn't had the training that all the rich kids have had, so she has to work a lot harder, and she's bullied a lot because of it. And then while she's training, one of the teachers, who also is ridiculed, and people don't, like, believe in his what he teaches, this it's to them, it's more mythology than anything that he teaches. And he recognizes something in Rin and decides to take her on as a student. And she reluctantly agrees because he can teach her skills that the other teachers won't teach her. And it's their equivalent to magic. It's basically, the older version of what they're learning now. And it's also a version that it connects you to the gods, particularly through drugs, through the poppy drug. And then, so the first half of the book is all about her learning and, all these apprenticing, and him teaching her through very eccentric means. Like, at one point, one of his lessons is she has to carry this pig up a mountain and let it drink this water, this certain kind of water. And she has to carry the pig on her shoulders, and the pig, grows, of course, because it starts out as a piglet, and that's one of his training methods. And which I've always been a big fan of, those mentors that have these eccentric teaching methods that our main character does not understand because they're not very traditional, and at the time it doesn't make any sense to the main character why they're teaching her these things, why this mentor is teaching this way. But then it becomes all clear later on. But the second half involves them where war has come to their world, and this enemy that is bloodthirsty and doesn't care and attacks them, and Rin, along with her peers, find themselves in the middle of war, and she even forms sort of friendships and alliances with some of the students from her school that she didn't get along with when they were students, that, bullied her. And so it's really, like, first I thought the idea of this magic coming from drugs is really cool, and it kind of looks at the idea of, like, how sometimes in war, you have to make decisions, or, even in politics probably too, where you have to make decisions that not everybody's going to love, and decisions that people are going to think are mean and more immoral and just not, not very nice, and you're going to come off as a bit of a douchebag, but sometimes you have to make the hard decisions. Whether you're a leader of an army, a political leader, or just a leader of a group of people, in like even just a little school club. Sometimes you have to make these, decisions that not everybody agrees with. And also, it's not a neat and clean ending. It's a messy thing, and I think because it's adult characters, it's an adult story, not a kid, not a YA or middle grade story, so it's not neat and, neat and tidy and with a little bow. It's a little more complicated and messy and full of morally gray characters. Well, this is the second one where, like I said, it picks off where the first one left off, where things are happening with Rin that she has to deal with. And she has all these new responsibilities and has to make some more tough decisions. So I got that one. And the other two books I got, because I ended up getting 3 books. First of all, I got Anne Radcliffe's Mysteries of Udolpho. The first time I actually heard about Anne Radcliffe in this particular book was actually in the movie Becoming Jane, which is kind of a fantasy version of what inspired Jane to write Pride and Prejudice, or like a what if kind of thing, or like this could have happened, taking her relationship, her friendships, and all this stuff from her past and kind of expanding on it and coming up with something that might have happened, but didn't. In fact, it kind of reminds me of another movie where there's a similar idea called Fur, an Imaginary Portrait of Diane Arbus. She's a famous photographer, and her work is kind of Alice in Wonderland-esque, I think. I mean, I haven't actually looked at her, but I think that's what inspired this movie. And it's kind of about her life and what inspired her photography, her relationship with this, in the story, she has a relationship with this man who has trichosis, which is the whole Wolfman thing, where, you're just covered in excessive body hair, and no matter how many times you shave, it just grows back. And the friendship, they become lovers, but the problem is that she's a married woman and has 2 daughters, and her parents kind of look down on her, and it's about her experiencing an awakening for her. And it's a really good movie. It's Nicole Kidman, Robert Downey Jr., and the guy from an actor from Modern Family. I cannot remember his name. And then, but it's really good. Very, very, very artistic, kind of movie. And it kind of like I said, that's what Becoming Jane reminded me of, where a similar idea. And so in Becoming Jane, and she has this romantic relationship with this guy, Tom Lefroy, who is the nephew of a judge, and they have to talk to, and he kind of raises Tom. He's Tom's guardian, and so when Tom and Jane fall in love, he has to ask his uncle if he can marry her. So they go to stay with his uncle for a period of time with her brother and her rich cousin, Jane's rich cousin. And while she's there, Anne Radcliffe lives in the same neck of the woods that Tom's uncle lives. So they go to see her, and Jane is a big fan of this woman and talking to her and stuff, and what inspires her work. So that was the first time I heard about was that scene in Becoming Jane. And then I hear a lot of booktubers like Katie from Books and Things, and Lucy the Reader, and all those booktubers. I've heard some of them talking about it. So finally I decided to go buy it because I heard it's a mystery. It's a gothic mystery type of story, and I kind of since I heard on Becoming Jane, it's kind of in the back of my mind. I've been wanting to check it out one day. And this is the Oxford World Classics edition, which is what my copy of Count of Monte Cristo, which is really totally ruined now. Well, not totally ruined, but you can tell it's been well read. It still has not been finished though. But it's the same edition as this. So these I've heard from a lot of booktubers. I'm trying to think of from Jennifer Brooks, that these editions have a lot of they're good for notes and stuff like that. Oh, and there's even oh well, it's just a list of other books in Oxford World Classics saying Jane Austen. But it has a lot of good. I hear that these books have, it has some good notes in the back and stuff like that. Like actually, Jennifer Brooks was talking about these particular editions for her. She's 3 editions of the Portable Dante, and one of them is this edition, and then the one that I have. Like I said, I feel guilty about having 3 copies of the same book. So I was just watching a movie, and actually a TV show, and my Blu-ray just cut off. But this, all I know is this is a mystery. Okay, I'll just read this first sentence. Such is the state of mind of Anne Radcliffe's orphaned heroine Emily St. Aubert, who finds herself imprisoned in her evil guardian, Count Montoni's gloomy medieval fortress in remote Apennines. Terror is the order of the day inside the walls of Udolpho, as Emily struggles against Montoni's rapturous schemes and the threat of her own psychological disintegration. I was worried about, I didn't know how much that would give away. I don't think it really gives away too much. It just says, hints at what's going to happen. Yeah, I'm excited. I am excited to read this. And then I know there's a few other books by her. If I like this one, then I will check out some of her other works as well. Let me see, how long is that? I'm trying to, for these kinds of editions, I'm trying to read the, introductions and stuff like that. Although, this might be a case where they'll say, skip their introduction notes and stuff. Because it's essentially, it will give things away, because they, of course, assume that you've already read it. When they make these editions of the book. But, I think at this point, I think that's kind of stupid, because there are people that not everybody reads classics, and at first, sometimes people get into classics late in life, and these editions are ones that are available, so I feel like it's not exactly, they shouldn't really give away too much in those. Okay, so the last book, first books ordered that I got was, so this is a book I've heard about from Alan from the Library of Alexandria. I've heard about the series, how great it was, and I know that he's been trying to get Elliot Brooks to read this series. I don't know if she has yet, but it's called the Great Coats series or something, and this is the first book, Traitor's Blade by Sebastian de Castell. I've been looking for, I don't know if I've ever seen it at Books A Million, because sometimes I notice that, whether Books A Million or one of the independent bookstores I go to, I will see a book, and then I'll pass it up because I'm not interested, or I'm thinking I am kind of interested, but I'll get it next time, and then finally, when I'm really excited and actually really interested, it disappears. It always seems to happen to me, I've seen Discovery, for example, Discovery and Witches, I had borrowed from the library, but then it's 500 plus pages long, so I returned to the library along with the other books. I'm taking a step back from the library because that can overwhelm me because I'm trying to finish my library books first. And so I sent them back, and then so it's at the library, but I swear I remember seeing at one of these bookstores I go to at, probably Givens or something, and it's not there anymore, if I have seen it there. So it's that always seems to happen to me. Now, I know that Books A Million, obviously, so at some point I'll buy it there. Either I'll buy it off Thrift Books or just buy it from Books A Million. But anyway, we're talking about this one. So I couldn't, like I said, I couldn't really tell you because, I read the back and everything. I know what I have, but I cannot remember. See, that's the problem, is I will read the back, and that will get me to purchase it, but then I don't remember I don't remember enough to be able to tell you guys about it. And, of course, I bought this book before I read the back, before I read the description. But I already knew I was interested in it. But especially because of the way Alan from the Library of Alexandria talked about it. So I'm just gonna read the back. Falcio, I don't know if I'm saying that right. Falcio is the first cantor of the Great Coats, the elite corps of 144 men and women whose mission is to travel the land and uphold the king's law. Highly trained in martial, diplomatic, and judicial arts, the Great Coats are heroes to all, the living, breathing symbol of King Pelias' enlightened reign. Or, at least, they used to be heroes until the powerful dukes, feudal noblemen with territorial ambitions of their own, overthrow and murder the king, placing the ex-monarch's head on the pike as a warning to his surviving supporters. In the wake of the king's death, Tristia is on the verge of collapse. The one glimmer of hope for the restoration of order is to set secret set instructions given separately to each of one of the greatcoats by King Peleus before his death. If Falcio and his best friends, Brastias and Kest, have any hope of fulfilling the king's mysterious final mission, they must find a way to reunite their fellow greatcoats, or else they must stand aside and watch as the world they were sworn to defend goes up in flames. First, I really like these covers. I like, and I think this is another one where each figure is a different color on each book. And I like how in his cape there is an image of the other soldiers, which I've seen that before in another cover where in the Faithful and the Fallen series, it also has a similar idea where you can see people on the image on the front. I think I like that. I like that aesthetic of, like, you know, at first glance you don't see it, but when you look closely, the idea you see people in the object. So, yep. So now on to the books I bought at the Black Castle Books. So I went there. I decided, you know, in the corner of my room I still have my donation pile of books. So I went there. I tried to contact them via Facebook, because by the time I thought to call them, it was too late. They were already closed. And I tried to schedule an appointment on Facebook, and then the next morning I called, and I found from the lady who answered that they're not taking donations right now because they recently got like a donation of like 1,000 books or something, or 500 books, or like a lot, essentially a lot of books. So they're still kind of going through them, and it's a small store, not a lot of space, so I can understand. So but of course I'm not gonna miss the opportunity to make purchases, and I still had credit from my previous donations. So I got 4 books. I couldn't decide. I almost bought 5, and I was trying to decide between getting I can't remember which book. Which I know once I tell you, you guys are gonna think this is crazy. Those of you fantasy fans and Wheel of Time fans will think I'm crazy, but I almost got one of the books from the Wheel of Time series, and it was signed. And I almost got it. And maybe I should have. Maybe I'm gonna regret it later. And maybe by the time I go back, it's probably not gonna be there anymore. But it was like book like number 10 or something in the series, and I hadn't even read the second book yet, which I mean to. I might take it when we're gonna go. I might start reading it in June, because I want to get to it before. I want to read at least the first handful of books from that series, maybe the first 4 or 5 books before the show starts. So I almost bought it. So I know you guys are gonna think I'm crazy. Those of you who are fantasy fans who love the Wheel of Time series probably think I'm crazy for not buying it, but I ended up not buying it, and I almost regret it. But I try to be like, okay, you know, it's in the middle of the series, and I do have quite an amount of books from the series, so maybe I should wait before I buy it. And like I said, thinking about it now, I kind of wish I had bought it, but I didn't know how much money I had. And in my current wallet, I didn't have a lot, and I was trying to use my cash instead of my card, because I had already got the thrift books order, so I was like, I'm trying not to spend anymore, use my card too much. So I got mostly classics, and then one random nonfiction, which is not that, which actually it's one I've heard of, on BookTube. Okay, so first, so this is one that I remember hearing about during Booktober, and I've been meaning to get it, so finally I decided to, oh, and now my TV's cut off completely. So I decided to get it. Finally, I spotted it, and it was the first book that got me an audible gasp from me, because, you know, that I was really excited to get. So it's Mary Elizabeth Braddon's Lady's Oddly Secret. I think the first person I heard talk about this was maybe Lucy the Reader or someone, or maybe Katie from Books and Things, or even I don't know. I can never remember which one of them, because which of those girls, because a lot of them I get my classics recommendations and stuff like that, along with Jennifer Brooks too. So I don't know much about what this is about. I just heard it's really good, so I'm gonna again read the back. When beautiful young Lucy Graham accepts the hand of Sir Michael Audley, her fortune and her future look secure, but Lady Audley's past is shrouded in mystery, and to Sir Michael's nephew Robert, she is not all that she seems. When his good friend George Talboys suddenly disappears, Robert is determined to find him and to unearth the truth. His quest reveals a tangled story of lies and deception, crime and intrigue, whose sensational twists turn the conventional picture of Victorian womanhood on its head. Can Robert's darkest suspicions really be true? Oh, it sounds even better than I thought. I wasn't sure what the secret was, but by the sound of it sounds really scandalous. But yeah, it sounds a lot more interesting than I thought it was going to be. But I mean, it's only like $5.10. So, yeah. Okay, next is the one nonfiction book I bought. I don't know why, I just decided to get some nonfiction. And that is, I don't know how to say this, but I don't know how you would say this title, but this one, A History of Ancient Rome, SPQR. I don't know how you're supposed to say that. By Mary Beard. I hear that I think she's a pretty well-known author. Even my mom heard about her. And like I said, it's about Rome. And this was one of the ones that I'm hearing about. I remember hearing about it on BookTube, and I definitely want to. And I kind of, she wrote a book about Pompeii, the life of a Roman town. Oh, that might be interesting to read, to learn more about it, not just the whole volcano thing, but also read about what the town was like before it was fried. So I'll have to look at a video where people like a review of it or something that doesn't spoil anything. Although it's non-fiction, so it's not like it's a story or anything, it's just, so yes, I can watch a review, and without it, there's not anything to really spoil, actually, because it's not, like I said, it's not a story. But yeah, I'm reading the Emperor series. I read the first book, and I really liked it, I really liked it, and I'm gonna keep going with it. I have all the books in the series. So and I've kind of been very much interested in Rome, and like kind of learning about it. I mean, and I actually I've never been to Rome, but I did go to Kusadasi, which is in Turkey, and kind of is like a similar, it's an ancient city. So, so yeah, I kind of want to check this out. Is there a color picture here? Dang it, I'm not gonna find it. I just saw a picture that's actually colored or something, but it's probably, Oh, yep, here, some artwork. Yeah, that's really cool. Some actual like artwork and stuff like that. That's really cool. See, I like artwork. It's just I don't like hearing lectures about art early in the morning when I'm still super tired. Okay, so yeah, there's some color pictures in here as well. But yeah, so I've always kind of been interested in learning about sorry, I'm tired. Learning about Rome. and Julius Caesar, and which is what Emperor series is about. Julius Caesar, a fictionalized version of him, and I'm also kind of curious about Caligula, who was from, it sounds like from what my dad has said about him, because he knows a lot about history and stuff, about certain subjects. He said it sounds like the guy is one of the even crazier ones. One of the madder ones. So yeah, I want to read that. I might just start reading this now, even though technically I still have to read more of Wild Swans by Jung Chang. I don't know if I'm saying her name right, but I need to finish reading that one as well, or at least I will get a little bit more of that one read. I don't know if I'll finish it, but I'll get a good amount read of that one. But I might want to jump in this one like now. Especially since I'm reading Dante, which I know that's Italy, but Okay, so the other ones I got were, I have seen this book a million times. I've seen like a mass market copy of this book, and again, I want to learn more about mythology, and the Roman mythology and this mythology and Norse mythology and all that kind of stuff, all that good stuff. I want to learn more about that kind of stuff because it sounds so interesting and entertaining and so weird. It's fantasy in a way, mythology is fantasy. And now I know that a lot of people say that the Romans kind of basically stole the Greeks' mythology and basically put their own name on it, their own stamp on it, essentially. So, but I still kind of want to read like their version. I still want to learn about their gods, and their version like isn't exactly the same as as the Greek. But Edith Hamilton's mythology. So like I said, I've seen this book. I think I've seen a mass market version of this book. And I'm sure if I tried to buy this copy of it at Books A Million, then it will probably be like $20, $30. So I thought I took advantage, and I hate when pages are folded over. Here's a mini little description about Edith Hamilton in this book. So she died she lived till, she was born in 1868 and lived until 1963. Wow, that's cool. So she was born in Germany originally, but she grew up in Indiana. Her parents were American. When she was the headmistress of a school in Baltimore. And then when she retired, that's when she started writing. So, I hate when pages are like folded. Not that these pages are all that important, but it still kind of bugs me that I feel like it's, even though, I will dog-ear a book, just, so I can determine how much I want to read up to, but I don't like it when it's not dog-eared and it's just folded. Like folded over. But it's just the index, so it's at the end of the day, it's probably not that big of a deal, but it kind of annoys me. So that's cool. There's a little bio of, which I guess, yeah, most books have that. All books have that. Like, I have a little thing about the author in the back. But, this is older, and so she wrote this when she's kind of much older, I guess. But, yeah, so, yeah, I want to learn more about mythology, so I figured this is a good place to start. But there's just so many. It's the first one I saw at Book Castle, so. And then the last book I'm going to show you is there's actually a movie that came out years ago, like a big, like Titanic length type movie in time. Lawrence of Arabia, which I had never watched it, but I heard it was really good, and a lot of people Yeah. And I think this is basically the book version of that, I think. The Seven Pillars of Wisdom, A Triumph, by T.E. Lawrence. Okay, so I'm going to read the back of this one. More than 70 years ago, T.E. Lawrence, universally known as the Lawrence of Arabia, wrote the self-effacing words in the introduction chapters to this monumental epic, Seven Pillars of Wisdom. Not even a man as hopeful for immortality as he could have predicted how enduring a place in the 20th century English literature's extraordinary memoir would claim. Oh, so it's a memoir. So actually, it's also this. So this is nonfiction too. So I guess it's a nonfiction that kind of reads like a book, kind of like Wild Swans, and which is funny that well, although I guess, well, no, I mean, Julie Andrews' books, memoirs do read like novels too. It's just, I don't know, I guess because I'm more familiar, it feels more like, she was stating facts. And while Wild Swans felt more like a book, even though it wasn't as like, it doesn't have that flowery writing style that made it read like a story. I mean, it did and it didn't. Like it still felt kind of like it didn't elaborate much. It just said this happened and this happened, but it still felt like a story because it's such a crazy situation for the character. I mean, for this woman to go through and her mom and grandmother to go through. Okay, where was I? As extraordinary memoir would claim, Lawrence tells the story of his role in the Arab revolt against the Turks, a minor divisionary theater of war for the British immersed in World War I, but a profoundly meaningful struggle for the Arabs. He draws amazingly evocative portraits of the principal players, and is doubtful if anyone else writing English has ever described the vast and beautiful Arabian terrain with such power of detail and subtlety of shading. Not only a consummate military history, but also a colorful saga, a lyrical exploration of the mind of a great man. Seven Pillars of Wisdom has become an indisputable classic. What has lent this book its lasting fascination is Lawrence's passionate account of the Arab people and of the Arab nation struggling to be born. The parallels to be drawn with the ongoing conflict in the Middle East are undeniable. Whether this masterpiece is read as a thrilling military history, a timeless adventure story, and prescient narrative, Seven Pillars of Wisdom is destined to enthrall generations to come. And if I bought this at Books A Million, it would be $18, but I only paid $8.10. So yeah, I wanted, something a little different. I didn't realize it was a memoir. But I wanted to try it because it's a little different from what I normally would read. Plus, I just can't go to the bookstore without at least buying one book. I have a problem. Which, like, as I said before, my parents just don't find that as cute. But, I'm sure you guys are like, oh yeah, I can definitely relate to that. At least I think so. I mean, I hope I'm not the only one. But yeah, and I was a little familiar with the movie. I'd heard of it. But I did not realize it was, I did not realize, I don't even know if it's actually, I don't even know if this has anything to do with that movie. But I know there's a movie called Lawrence of Arabia. But you know what I should do is pair this up with, I keep thinking about that there's books I could pair together. But I never do. But I feel like I could pair this up with my book, The Physician, which is a British young man who he's a Christian, but he becomes he becomes a doctor, what is it called? A surgeon, a traveling surgeon, but he also can perform and do, and he ends up having to go to Jerusalem because that is has the best medical school. But unfortunately, he's Christian, and they don't take kindly to Christians. So he has to pretend to be, he claims to be Jewish, I believe. And I figure it kind of, because it takes place in kind of the same neck of the woods, that I think it would be an interesting pairing to put these two together. But yeah, I don't know if I'll do that. I like to, and there's, see, this is what happens. I think about ideas for what I could read during this, during the next month or the next season. But then I end up, as the closer it gets to that season, then I all of a sudden come up with a new idea of different types of books to read that season. Like, I was thinking, read books that have to do with the sea and traveling and stuff for the summer. But then it was like, there are some books, some sequels from series that I need to finish. I was like, oh, maybe I should do that. Like, do that kind of a theme during the summer. Like, read books from series that I need to continue. Hence that video that I was just thinking and realized, wait, I did do a video on that particular topic already. So I apologize, but I think I've done that video before or similar, but anyway, so now I'm thinking, oh, maybe I could start with this book, and then read, and pair it with another book, and, I'm also thinking about that Rome book, and see, whenever I start talking about these books and videos, all of a sudden I'm like, oh, I want to read that one, I want to read this right now, kind of thing. Which I'm sure, at least I hope I'm not the only one who does that when they start talking about a book and explaining a book to someone that they're excited to read, then all of a sudden they want to read it right that second, as soon as they start talking about the book. It's like they get excited about it all over again. But anyway, so those are the book, what I bought of my own volition. Here we go. That's all the books I bought. So I hope. So have you guys bought any books this month? Are you gonna buy any maybe sometime soon? Or what's a book, or maybe even what's a book that you really want to buy, but you're trying to wait before you buy it for some reason or another? Like, you don't want to spend any money right now, or you're trying to finish another book first, or you're waiting just to ask for it as a gift or something, So yeah, just tell me what's a book that you want to buy, or you're thinking about buying right now. Feel free to share in the comments below. If you guys like this video, be sure to give it a thumbs up. Click subscribe if you haven't already. Click the bell notification below if you want to see when I post new videos. And I hope you guys have a fabulous day tomorrow. A fabulous day, which is tomorrow, I guess, because I'm filming this in the evening. Film this Friday night, so have a fabulous Saturday if that's when you watch it. And I will talk to you all later. Bye!